from a spring that is reserved for those close to me. So these verses are talking about the events of the hereafter. Obviously, in continuation, God says that these people will be thrown into hell, and they will be told, "This is what you used to deny." Right now, they used to deny hell. They didn't think that God would create hell, or hell is something that will eventually, be created. Even though people say with their lips, they give it lip service. They don't actually believe in the hereafter or heaven and hell, and they think these are just tales from the past, uh, things that people have made up, from the past. Verse 18 talks about the book of the righteous being the Iliyin, which, as we know, as I've mentioned earlier, is the book that is actually the book that directs people to righteousness, which is the real Quran. And only the believers have access to the Quran. Only the sincere can see the Quran, can see the truth, and it really augments their faith. It really helps them grow their soul. But the disbelievers, it does nothing to them. And God says, on the day of judgment, these people will have, all the blessings that we can imagine, more than that, more than the blessings we can imagine. You cannot find anything close to, describing it, what it actually is going to be. We just have the allegories, that because we only understand those allegories, because there's nothing like that for us in this world. And God says, the righteous have deserved bliss. On luxurious furnishings they watch. You recognize their faces, in their faces, the joy of bliss. So obviously, when these, imagine being, uh, be bored, may God allow us to be one of those fortunate people, because this, and it has to be fortunate. We would have to be fortunate to make it, because the odds are against the humans in general, right? Most people are going to hell. Many people think that they will go to heaven, or feel that they should go to heaven, but the reality is going to be very different. They'll be judged not based on their opinions, but they'll be just judged based on God's law, based on what God considers righteous, and based on whom God thinks is a good person. For example, every person thinks, I'm a good person and I should go to heaven, in case there is one. But obviously, the only people who will even have a chance to go to heaven will be the people that were certain about the hereafter. For people who think that just in case there's heaven and they'll end up going to heaven, are not even going to make it. They don't even stand a chance to make it. And God says their drinks will be spiced with nectar. Its spice is like musk. Mixed into it will be special flavors. So these are all allegories. We understand that all these are exquisite, delicious flavors that in no drinks in this world could compete with the drinks that people are going to be served in the hereafter. They're not going to be sinful to drink. There's not going to be alcohol in it that makes you go crazy. But of course, you'll feel great. You'll feel refreshed. You'll feel happy. You'll feel ecstatic. Just as you'd expect from anything in the hereafter will be. And God says they'll drink from a spring that is reserved for those close to me. So obviously, there will be ranks in the heaven, and people will be in low heavens. Some people will be in high heaven, and the high heaven, are the people who are close to God. They're the ones that will be able to drink from the spring that is mentioned here. And who are these people? The wicked people used to laugh at those people who believed. They were persecuted, they were ridiculed, and they were made fun of. It says when they passed by them, they used to poke fun. When they got together with their people, they used to joke. Whenever they saw them, they said, these people are far astray. They have no such thing as invisible guards, uh, quote unquote. And then, so we see that these are the utterances of the people who will be burning in hell, and they were the ones that they were laughing at will be in the high heaven. rejoicing, for the ridicule they received in this world, and uh, the jokes that were uh, made on them, and how they used to laugh at these people. I mean, they were eventually paid for going through those hardships. Obviously, it's not easy to be one who is being made fun of. Nobody wants to be the one who is treated this way. And so, even knowing that there is a special rank for those people who are persecuted and ridiculed in this world, um, still nobody wants to be in that position. But yet, it's something that we know that people are going to be tested with. Um, and God says, I mean, these people used to think that they have no such thing as invisible guards, but obviously there are invisible guards. They can't see it, so they don't think it's there, but it's there. And eventually, on the day of judgment, they will witness that they were being washed, and then in the hereafter, this is talking about the events of the hereafter as they're in the present, no, because God has already witnessed it. And it says, today those who believed are laughing at the disbelievers. So there are people now that are in heaven also right now that are laughing at the disbelievers too, because heaven is already there. And God says, on luxurious furnishings they watch. So these are God's blessings, that will be there exclusively for the believers. God says, most assuredly the disbelievers are requited for what they did. And so the people who have died, they're being shown a constant nightmare, while the people who are righteous, they're already in heaven enjoying an active utopian life, as the messenger of the covenant puts it. And so it's more real than this life, in fact. And so these people are now getting the benefits. I mean, they don't have to worry about anything of this world. They don't have to ever hear any nonsense or any like little unpleasantness. They will not even hear like anything that can remotely like make them unhappy, or spoil their day in any way. I mean, they will be in constant bliss like for eternity. In Surah 84, the rupture, al inshiqaq, in the name of God, most gracious, most merciful. The time will come when the sky is ruptured. It will submit to its Lord and expire. The earth will be leveled. It will eject its contents as it erupts. It will submit to its Lord and expire. O humans, you are irreversibly heading for a meeting with your Lord. As for the one who receives his record in his right hand, his reckoning will be easy. He will return to his people joyfully. As for the one who receives his record behind his back, he will be ridden with remorse and will burn in hell. He used to act arrogantly among his people. He thought that he will never be called to account. Yes, indeed, his Lord will fear of him. I solemnly swear by the rosy dusk, and the night as it spreads, and the moon and its phases, you will move from stage to stage. So, God willing, I'll explain, and then we'll take comments or questions. So, this Surah 84 is titled The Rupture, Al Inshiqaq. And so it's talking about the sky being ruptured, ruptured meaning, something that breaks or bursts, and the sky will burst, and break, like, like anything you can imagine would rupture. Arteries can rupture, or crack or fracture or burst or blow out. So any of these things you can consider. And God says it will submit to its Lord and expire. So the sky, in this case, the universe itself is also a submitter to God, right? And so this universe uh, as an entity in its own, just like the Earth is an entity, and then you have other organisms like mountains and trees that are submitters living on this Earth. The same way, the first universe itself is also submitter, and it will submit to its Lord, and it says it expires. It will expire, and then the Earth will be leveled. All the uh, mountains and everything will expire, and so the earth will be leveled, and it will eject all its content. So all the people will be brought out, all the bodies, everything will be taken out as it erupts, and then God says it will submit to its Lord and expire. So the earth itself will also die. And then God says, "O humans, you're irreversibly heading for a meeting with your Lord." So the Quran is literally reminding us that we are irreversibly heading for a meeting with God. And so, if you want to picture it, like when you look at this verse, think about an hourglass, that's not going to be turned back, and, a clock or a timer that's running, that's just constantly running very quickly. And you think like you have time, but it's going pretty fast. And you're irreversibly heading for this meeting, right? So there's no way back, the time keeps moving forward, not backwards at all. And so, as for the one who receives his record in his right hand, those are the people who will be the righteous people, and the one who receives his record from his back, those are the people that are going to hell on the day of judgment. So God says these people will be ridden in remorse. And who are these people? They are the people who are disbelievers now. They act arrogantly among the people. So all the arrogant people you see, and how they treat people with arrogance because they think that they're not going to be held accountable. And God says, these people who are arrogant in this world, they are the people who don't believe in the hereafter. And hell is a just requital for such people, because there's no place for arrogant people in this world, who are arrogant. There's no room for these people in paradise. And obviously, someone who is a believer in God should not be arrogant. Arrogance and ignorance, makes up your ego. So you have nothing to feel arrogant about if you don't have an ego. So it comes from people who are arrogant. That it's a trait of the human